along all the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
We turn now to our candles and Kiddush. I am pleased to ask Ellen Ross, who is going to join me in lighting the Shabbat lights and offering Kiddush to, I don't see you, Ellen, so hopefully you can unmute yourself. There you are. All right.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, through our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations who have kindled these lights, so may we be inspired to kindle these lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with mitzvot and who teaches us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God stopped on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on that day, God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Ellen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So one of the things about pandemic is that we are constantly learning how to do better and to learn more about the best way to connect with our congregation. And so I want to invite our president of our congregation, Matt Lehman, and Matt, I've spotlighted you to share a few words of greeting and announcements and just to say hi, because we haven't seen you in a long time, Matt.
Well, we haven't done announcements for a while, Rabbi, but
that is true, because they kind of went away when I had to learn how to do this.
Exactly.
So it's my apologies.
No worries. Shabbat shalom, everyone. It's great to see you all virtually. Thank you, Ellen, for your assistance with blessings this evening. Thank you to Rabbi Van and Deb Rogers, as always, for leading us through this service. And I'm used to thanking the ushers, so maybe I'll thank the engineers at Zoom for their work in allowing us to be together virtually this evening. A couple of brief announcements. Again, it's great to see everyone. I've been on a lot of these Friday night services and other activities, and it's great to see the chatter and the interaction. A couple of things I do want to highlight. One, you should have received an email earlier this week from myself, from Rabbi Van, from Brett, outlining our plans for the high holidays, which are going to be quite exciting. They will be virtual, as you would expect, given the pandemic situation, but rest assured that Rabbi Van, Deb, Rabbi Shana, and the rest of the staff are working incredibly diligently to put together, I think, what will be truly an unforgettable high holiday experience. So more information to come, but you should, again, have gotten an email with some initial details. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Also, you should have gotten your Open Doors pledge letters about a month ago. Usually they come in mid-May. This year they came in mid-June. So we have started to receive a number of pledge commitments back in. This is the time of the year to do it. We recognize that situations change, and that is part of the underlying premise of Open Doors. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to Brett so we can address them. But again, look forward to seeing those back. And then lastly, our TET registrations are open. We've already seen a good number of registrations come in. Again, a mix of virtual and very, very limited in-person classes. And again, we will adjust and adopt classes based upon the current guidance from local health authorities. But again, one thing we can assure you is we will be flexible, but ultimately, again, provide, I think, a great educational experience. So you can register on the website or give us a call in the office. But again, I think some very, very neat courses are being offered this fall semester, and look forward to seeing many of you again virtually or potentially in person, depending on how things shake out between now and the fall. Again, I wish everyone the best of health. It's wonderful to see so many smiling faces here on Friday nights. And again, we very much appreciate your support here at the temple. So Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi, you're muted.
Thank you, Matt. It's really good to hear from you. We turn back into our service, just as we have heard all that is going on in the temple, and we also lit our Shabbat candles and offered Kiddush. Those are all things that announce our sacred space and the sacred way that we are community. And so we return to our service with an opening reading, a reading that brings us back into our prayer. There is a light that shines beyond all things on earth, beyond us all, beyond the heavens, beyond the very highest heavens. This is the light that shines in your heart. And now we turn to the Baruch Hu, the call to worship that says we are now ready to pray. If you feel comfortable and you want to fully experience the prayers, please rise in honor of the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Another way you can participate at home is that even though we won't all hear each other, feel free to, while muted, read with me. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam Beshivdecha bevetecha, uvlachtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem Gedoshim Lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We turn to one of my favorite moments in the service as we prepare to sing Mi Chamocha, the moment where we consider what it means to be free, what it means to experience liberation and freedom, and our concept of partnership with God. We would not be free if God had not supported us, however our theology, whether it is a literal freedom or we find the narrative divine. And so now with our partnership with God, our job, our purpose is to ensure that others are free as well. And so as we sing this joyous melody from Exodus 15, we know that our job is to ensure that others have experienced what we have experienced, which is the celebration of freedom.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osef pelech, Nora tehilot, osef pelech, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei al-yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Join me, here we go. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Ashkivenu, our next prayer, is a prayer that asks for God to provide protection, for God to provide a sukkot shalom, a shelter of peace upon all of us, for God to, as the evening falls, although we're a few hours away from actual darkness, as our evening, as our day comes to an end, for us to ask for protection from God, whether it be spiritual or physical. We sing together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom. Vehamidenu makenu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Vishamru is sometimes feels a little redundant, right? So Vishamru is from a Torah. It reminds us, it commands us to celebrate Shabbat. We're already celebrating Shabbat. So why would we sing Vishamru in the middle of something we're already doing? To me, it's because it's a reminder of what Shabbat does for all of us. Shabbat is a renewal. It offers us a sense of feeling refreshed. And so it's not about the reminder of the commandment. It's a reminder of what it does for each of us.
Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
So we're turning now to the Amidah, center of the liturgy in our service. If you feel comfortable, please rise as we go deeper into our personal prayer, as we honor our forefathers and foremothers, those who came before us, as we recognize the greatness of God and the sanctity of this day.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geola livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav leHoshia. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated if you stood up. It is one of my favorite, gosh, I think I have a lot of favorite parts of the service. I'm going to have to be pretty careful now when I keep talking about this.
They can all be your favorite. It's okay.
It's okay. I can have a lot of favorite parts. So we've quickly developed a few traditions since March. And one of those is to think about moments of gratitude. The rabbis of old were pretty genius, pretty smart, and they knew that our natural tendencies were to complain rather than to celebrate the beautiful things in life. As you know, I like to say we're really good at being oi Jews instead of joy Jews, and we need to take moments to be joyous. And so as we move into singing Shalom Rav, which is a prayer for peace, we also think about, even in challenging times, those moments of gratitude, those moments of blessing. And since we can't all be together to share those, we're going to share them in the chat. And if you are fairly new to Zoom, there should be a chat box. Everybody has a different device, so I can't tell you exactly where it is. And most people, it is in the bottom of your screen. You'll click on chat. You want to make sure you're typing to everyone, and type something that is a blessing, something you have gratefulness or gratitude for in your life this week. And we will sing Shalom Rav together while we're all lifting up those things.
טוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים לעולם תשים לעולם.
Thank you for sharing those beautiful words in the chat. They were really particularly beautiful this week. And as we know, there are so many blessings and things to be grateful for. We know that there are also things for which we struggle. And the word shalom means peace. It also means wholeness. And there are so many who are not whole, who are struggling on this Shabbat, who are ill, physically ill, emotionally ill, spiritually ill, mentally ill. And we lift them up in our community so that they might know a measure of shalom, a measure of wholeness, or a measure of peace. And again, we'll make use of our chat and lift up those whom we love who are struggling. And we'll, hopefully with permission, lift up their names so that they may know some sense of shalom, whether it be a healing of body or a healing of spirit, or we can't all receive a cure. And we'll sing together our healing song.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We take a few moments now for silent prayer and reflection. John Lewis died this week. To me, he's been a moral compass for my social action and social justice life, really my whole life. Even as a Jew, he has stood for the poor and the stranger. He's listened to all the arguments. He was unafraid. He was larger than life always. He actually knew my heroes, some of my heroes, not all of them. He knew Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and Martin Luther King. He had been, John Lewis, not Martin Luther King, he had been physically bloodied over and over again and was consistent and constant in his commitment to nonviolence. He stayed true to his purpose that the moral arc of our country would prevail in our favor. He spoke with grace and dignity and clarity. One of my favorite quotes, it's a little bit long, but I love it. So he said, "We all live in the same house. We all must be part of the effort to hold down our little house. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, do something about it. Say something. Have the courage, have the backbone, get in the way, walk with the wind. It's all going to work out." He believed in the long journey of justice. He was also a deep man of faith. So it should not surprise, although it did surprise me, but it should not surprise me that, of course, when I went to look at this week's Torah portion, it was perfect. It absolutely could have been written about John Lewis. It was uncanny again. Quick review though, because we are in Deuteronomy. We are in the very first Torah portion of Deuteronomy, in Hebrew, Devarim. In a very, very quick summary, the book of Deuteronomy is essentially Moses' last will and testament. He speaks to the Israelites and he knows he's not going to enter the promised land. So this is his last opportunity to say to the Israelites, please listen to God. Please listen to everything we've taught you all of these years, because I'm not going to be here to lead you. And it's essentially the longest sermon you could ever not want to listen to, with a really amazing amount of incredible information in it. And it's a reminder of that the blessing of being in covenant or relationship with God demands responsibilities. It has burdens and requires leadership. It demands work. That's John Lewis. And then that's all of Deuteronomy. And then if you look at this week's Torah portion, Moses is really talking to the people that he's going to call out in leadership to be the judges, leadership to make sure that everyone follows all the laws, who creates courts to when we don't follow the laws. And he reminds the judges that we must administer justice equitably to the poor, to the stranger, and to listen to all the arguments. At the end of this exhortation, he does something very surprising. He says to these judges, and I quote here, "Do not be afraid of anyone, for judgment is God's." Why would he say, "Do not be afraid of anyone, for judgment is God's"? I believe, and I studied a beautiful commentary this week by Rabbi Shai Held, a contemporary rabbi through an organization called Hadar, a brilliant, brilliant man. And what he teaches is Do not be afraid, because when we have pressure from our colleagues, from our friends, from other powerful people, it's very easy to be afraid, and it's very easy to pervert justice. We must be courageous. And so Moses knew that it was what he was asking the justices, the judges to do was very hard. And he was reminding them, don't be afraid, be courageous. And here I am reading this and I'm thinking, John Lewis. And Rabbi Shai Held wrote, the beginning of courage is to admit that we are afraid, and at the same time to recall that fear is only one factor in our decision making. So what Moses was teaching the judges is, yes, if you have a powerful person in your court, you might be afraid. If you have a colleague who disagrees with you, you might be afraid. Do not let that sway your decision. In other words, Judaism acknowledges that we will be afraid, but we must still continue to judge equitably. We must still continue to be the voice for the stranger and the poor and for the moral arc of justice, no matter what. Moses was reminding the judges and the Israelites about the society that they were striving to create, which depends on leaders that can hear the entire story and to not be afraid. The judges needed to be wise and upright with a commitment to true justice, even if they were afraid. And so Moses and John Lewis remind us that while fear might be constant companions on life's journey, they cannot direct the journey. John Lewis's favorite poem, reportedly, was a poem called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. I want to share it with you because I think in this poem, you will hear Deuteronomy, the first section of Deuteronomy, this week's Torah portion. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. John Lewis was the master of his fate and the captain of his soul. I am sure he was afraid. Let each of us learn from him and be inspired by the message of this Torah portion to do justice. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
It's easy to say I will one day, hard to make it happen that way. It's easy to say it's you, not me, hard to take responsibility. It's easy to say I'll forgive and forget, hard to let go of my regret. It's easy to say I heard what you said, hard to quiet my troubled head. במקום שאין אנשים השתדל במקום שאין אנשים השתדל להיות איש. It's easy to say I'm here for you, hard to know which words are true. It's easy to say I won't give up, hard to handle days that don't live up. It's easy to say it's gonna be okay, hard to find a place on these waves. It's easy to say I'm not afraid, hard to admit all the mistakes I made. במקום שאין אנשים השתדל להיות איש. במקום שאין אנשים השתדל להיות. This is the place where I begin. This is the place I lose to win. This is the place I find myself. I am that place במקום שאין אנשים השתדל להיות איש. במקום שאין אנשים השתדל להיות, השתדל להיות איש.
The Hebrew of that is in a place where there are not human beings. In other words, when there aren't true mensches, you should strive to be that mensch. So we turn now to Aleinu, one of our closing prayers that reminds us of our job to partner with God to make the world the best place it can be. Please rise if you feel comfortable. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
So we turn now in our service to our time of memory. We turn now to that sacred time where we think of those who are no longer with us. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our sacred candles, life is kindles, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. On this Shabbat, we remember those most recently taken from our temple family. We remember Tom Crystal in Shloshim in the first month since his death. And we mark the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of death that fall on this Shabbat. A. Irving Adelson, James M. Arnstein, Ria Arnstein, Theresa Peskin Edgert, Yolan Farkas, Hermine Haver Frankel, Jeannie Frankel, Herman S. Friedman, Milton Friedman, Samuel C. Glukov, Florence S. Greenberg, Ruth Hibschman, James Hibschman, Betty Wolf Kahn, Ruth Kaplan, Thomas S. Katz, Eric Leventhal, Ruth Miller, Edward S. Reed, Evelyn Korak Royce, Sam H. Sigel, Sarah Ann Union, Harry H. Weiss, Max Zach. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as together we turn to the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divra hirote v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye techol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivorach leolam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit haleh, v'yit halal, shemei tekudasham bariku. Le'elam minkol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and give comfort to all of us who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen.
Amen.
Deb, what should we sing?
Well, I'm kind of in the mood for Adon Olam.
Okay.
And yes, and because you don't have the words in front of you, it's a call and response, so please join me. Let's do it. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem-Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chepto-Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kichlot Hakol, Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, Vehu Haya, Vehu Hoveh, Vehu Yiyeh Betifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem-Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chepto-Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Behu echad ve'ein sheni, lahamshilo lahachbira Adon Olam, beli reshit, beli tachlit, belo haos ve'hamizra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem-Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chepto-Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Vehu Eli, V'chai Goali, V'tzur Chavli Be'et Sarah Adon Olam, Vehu Nisi, Umanos Li, Menat Kosi Be'et Beyom ekra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, Le'et Nasa, B'chepto Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Beyado Afkid Ruchi, Be'et Ishan Ve'ayira Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi Geviyati Adonai li velo ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, Le'et Nasa, B'chepto Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God lift up each one of us, and may God bring us shalom, peace, and wholeness. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Deborah.